Rose Parker stood at the edge of town, her heart heavy like storm clouds gathering on the horizon. She was slight as prairie grass, slender and fragile, yet her spirit burned with a fierce determination. Just days ago, she had expected to be a bride, the joyful centerpiece of a proud merchant's wedding. Instead, she was cast aside like an unwanted trinket, leaving her dreams scattered like autumn leaves in the wind. With nowhere to turn, Rose chose to leave the town that held her heartache. The wide-open prairie called to her, vast and unyielding. She had heard tales of its beauty and potential, and perhaps this was where she could find solace and a fresh start. Dusty roads stretched before her as she journeyed into the unknown, her mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. As Rose walked, she spotted an old sign that read Travis Ranch. The words carved into the wood were faded yet seemed to promise possibility. Curiosity nudged her forward, prompting her to follow a winding dirt path that led to the ranch's entrance. There she found Ben Travis, a rancher with sun-kissed skin and weary eyes. He was standing near a barbed wire fence, trying to corral his straying cattle. "Need a hand?" Rose called out, surprising herself with her boldness. Ben looked up, first startled, then curious. It didn't take long for them to realize that they were both in need of help. Rose needed a place to heal, and Ben needed assistance on his beleaguered ranch. With every passing day, Rose became more intertwined with Ben's life and his land. They worked side by side, mending fences and caring for sick calves. Each cow they saved felt like a victory, every sprouting blade of grass a sign of growth. Together, they shared laughter and dreams beneath the wide expanse of the sky. Yet even as hope began to blossom around them, Rose never fully escaped the shadows of her past. But for now, the sweet scent of wildflowers and the warmth of friendship felt like a balm on her wounded heart. A new chapter was beginning to unfold, one where she could finally reclaim her spirit amid the emptiness of the ranch. As Rose stepped onto the Travis Ranch, she gazed at the fields stretching endlessly before her. The land was vast but desolate, once teeming with life and now lying still under the sun's relentless gaze. What should have been a rolling sea of golden wheat was now a patchwork of faded earth, where weeds struggled for dominance amidst the parched soil. Dried-up furrows crisscrossed like veins, showcasing the ranch's former glory. Ben Travis stood among the remnants of his dreams, his shoulders hunched with the weight of responsibility. Each day seemed a battle against nature's indifference. The barn, once a bright red beacon of hope, had dulled to a weathered gray, its wooden boards warped from years of harsh winds and unyielding storms. The roof sagged slightly, as if it too felt the burden of neglect. Rose could almost hear echoes of laughter and clattering hooves that had filled the air in better times. The cattle roamed aimlessly, their ribs visible beneath their thin hides. They were a sad reflection of Ben's struggles, each animal represented both hope and despair. As Rose moved closer to the barn, she noticed a few calves huddled together, their eyes wide and pleading. It tugged at her heartstrings. "They need our help," she thought, sensing the urgency in their gaze. Determined, Rose approached Ben with renewed purpose. "We can't let this place fall to ruin," she said softly, trying to coax him from his despondence. Ben nodded, but his eyes reflected uncertainty. "It's hard work and I'm just one man," he replied, a hint of vulnerability lacing his voice. Together they began to clear the overgrown brush that threatened to swallow the fence lines. As they dug into the soil and pulled out stubborn weeds, an unexpected sense of unity blossomed between them. With every small victory, the ranch began to reveal its potential beneath layers of neglect. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the land. As twilight settled in, Rose felt a spark of hope ignite within her, a belief that they could breathe life back into the ranch together. With each passing day, they worked not only to restore the land but to forge a bond that might just help them both heal from their pasts. As days turned into weeks, Rose and Ben began to carve out a routine on the ranch. However, one sunny afternoon brought an unexpected twist to their partnership. While wandering the property, Rose spotted a few cattle wandering too far from the herd, their tags flapping in the breeze like lost dreams. Curiosity sparked within her, and she decided to follow them. The cattle led her across a small rise and down a gentle slope into a sun-drenched valley brushed with wildflowers. Here, amidst splashes of color and buzzing bees, Rose marveled at how nature could still thrive amidst decay. The sight filled her with joy and reminded her of simpler times spent dreaming under clear skies. Suddenly, she heard a voice call out from behind her, "Hey, where are you going?" It was Ben, dusting off his hands as he approached. "Those cows are all over the place. he added with a hint of concern in his tone. I thought I'd round them up, Rose replied with a smile, pointing towards the wayward animals. They seemed to need some guidance. Together they moved quietly through the tall grass, keeping an eye on the straying beasts, laughter bubbling between them as they shared light-hearted stories about their lives before the ranch. Rose learned that Ben once dreamed of being a veterinarian but had settled for ranching due to family obligations. In turn, she revealed tales of her own aspirations to travel and explore distant lands. The bond between them deepened with each passing moment spent in that golden meadow. As they finally rounded up the last cow and guided it back to safety, they both felt an unspoken connection forming, a friendship blossoming amid hardship. That felt good, Ben said breathlessly as they leaned against a fence post, watching the herd settle down peacefully. I couldn't have done it without you. Rose smiled back at him, her heart swelling with warmth. We make a good team, she replied softly. As twilight began to blanket the prairie in shades of purple and orange, they lingered together beneath the expansive sky, sharing dreams woven from hope and possibility. Little did they know that this chance encounter was just the beginning of something beautiful, a partnership rooted not only in restoring land but also in healing their weary hearts. As the weeks turned into months, Rose and Ben grew closer, their partnership blossoming like the wildflowers that dotted the landscape. One particularly chilly morning, Ben approached Rose with a worried expression. We've got a few calves that aren't doing well. I'm not sure how to help them, he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. Rose's heart sank at the thought of sick animals. Let's take a look at them together, she said, her determination sparking anew. She followed Ben to a small corral where 3 weak calves huddled together, their large eyes dull and their bodies shivering. The sight stirred a protective instinct within her. With gentle hands, Rose examined each calf, feeling their foreheads and listening to their labored breathing. They need warmth and nutrition, she said, glancing at Ben. We can make a special feed for them and keep them warm in the barn until they get stronger. Ben nodded appreciatively, his faith in her growing. Together, they gathered hay and blankets, creating a cozy sanctuary inside the barn. Each day, they devoted time to caring for the calves, mixing special milk formulas and feeding them by hand. Rose's nurturing touch brought life back into the little creatures, and slowly but surely, they began to regain their strength. As the days passed, laughter filled their routine once more. Each success with the calves was celebrated with smiles and playful banter. Ben marveled at how quickly Rose adapted to ranch life. She was no longer just a visitor but an integral part of this place. You have a real gift with animals, he praised one afternoon as they watched the calves frolic in the sun. Their shared victories didn't stop there. As spring rolled in with its vibrant colors and fresh possibilities, Rose encouraged Ben to plant new crops using techniques she had read about. They worked side by side in the fields, turning over soil that had lain fallow for far too long. The ranch began to transform before their eyes. What had once been an empty expanse of forgotten dreams now started to bloom with hope. Green shoots sprouted where there had been only dust. The ranch was healing alongside their hearts as they forged a bond rooted in hard work and shared aspirations. With each passing day, it became clear that this unlikely partnership was more than just about saving sick calves or reviving fields. It was about finding a new family in each other, united by resilience and love for the land they cherished. As the seasons changed on the ranch, so too did Rose's dreams. With each new day, she found herself more invested in the life she and Ben were building together. However, as she sat on the porch one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon and paint the sky with hues of orange and purple, she couldn't shake the weight of her past or her deepest desires for the future. Rose had always longed for love, something genuine and steadfast. Her heartache from being jilted still lingered like a bruise beneath her laughter. But in Ben, she saw a different kind of man, one who worked hard with calloused hands, yet carried a gentle heart beneath his rugged exterior. Every passing moment spent by his side cultivated a hope inside her that perhaps love could thrive again. But stability was also at the forefront of her thoughts. The uncertainty of ranch life was both thrilling and daunting. Rose dreamed of building something lasting, a home filled with laughter, warmth, and shared dreams. She envisioned planting thriving crops that would yield bountiful harvests and make the ranch prosperous once more. In her mind's eye, fields of wheat swaying gently in the breeze were not only beautiful but representative of security and success. One afternoon, while tending to their growing vegetable patch, Rose turned to Ben with a sparkle in her eye. Can you imagine what this place will look like in a few years? Fresh produce everywhere, maybe even some animals grazing, she exclaimed, her excitement palpable. Ben nodded thoughtfully, his own hopes intertwining with hers. And one day, he said quietly, a family running around here too. The weight of those words hung in the air between them, both a promise and a possibility. In that moment, Rose felt an overwhelming sense of optimism swell within her. Perhaps this place could be everything she had ever wanted, a sanctuary filled with love where they both could flourish. As their bond continued to deepen through laughter and hard work, Rose realized she didn't have to face these dreams alone anymore. Together with Ben, she envisioned a future alive with colors and sounds, a thriving ranch that mirrored their journey, blossoming from pain into joy and from longing into fulfillment. With each task they tackled side by side, the labors of love transforming not just the land but also their hearts, Rose felt ready to embrace whatever tomorrow might bring. Hope sprouted as vividly as their precious seedlings. There was no denying it, this was just the beginning of something beautiful together. As winter melted away and spring breathed new life into the prairie, Rose and Ben stood at the threshold of transformation. The once barren fields were now bursting with vibrant greens as tiny shoots broke through the soil, reaching eagerly for the sun. It was a season filled with promise, and both of them felt the excitement in the air. Every morning began with the cheerful chirping of birds returning from their winter retreats. Rose would awaken to the soft light streaming through the window, illuminating the farm with a golden hue. With a sense of purpose, she would step outside, inhaling the fresh scent of earth thawing under the warmth of the sun. Each breath reminded her that their hard work was beginning to pay off. Ben had been out early each day, tending to the crops they had planted together. He delighted in watching the fields transform from lifeless patches to lush expanses of life. "Look at this," he exclaimed one morning, pointing to the rows of green sprouting before them. "It's like magic." Rose joined him, her eyes sparkling with joy. "It really is. And just think how far we've come," she replied, feeling a surge of pride for what they had accomplished together. The calves they had nursed back to health were thriving as well, their playful antics filling the barn with energy. They frolicked in the sun-drenched pasture, their coats glimmering bright under radiant beams. Rose often found herself laughing as they stumbled over each other in their excitement, a heartwarming reminder that hope could take many forms. One afternoon, as Ben and Rose walked through the blooming vegetable patch, Rose noticed colorful blossoms emerging everywhere, tomatoes turning bright red and peppers ripening on the vine. "We should have our first harvest soon," she said cheerfully. "It'll be a celebration." Ben looked over at her, his heart swelling with appreciation. "You've really turned this place around, Rose. I couldn't have done it without you," he admitted sincerely. With each new day bringing fresh growth and renewal, the ranch began to reflect their shared journey, one of resilience and determination. They had transformed not just the land but also their lives, flourishing like the fields surrounding them. As spring deepened and life thrived all around them, Rose felt an indescribable connection growing between her and Ben, rooted in shared dreams and a blossoming love that promised to flourish alongside their thriving ranch. In this moment of renewal, Rose knew that their future held endless possibilities waiting to unfold like flowers in full bloom. As the ranch flourished under the warm sun of spring, so too did the relationship between Rose and Ben. Their shared victories brought them closer, and moments that once were filled with hard work transformed into celebrations of success. One sunny afternoon, after harvesting their first batch of ripe tomatoes, Rose and Ben decided to take a break under the grand old oak tree that stood in the center of the ranch. The tree's branches stretched wide, offering shade from the sun, and it seemed like the perfect spot to enjoy the fruits of their labor. "Can you believe we actually did it?" Rose said, her eyes sparkling as she held up a plump tomato. "These are going to taste amazing." Ben chuckled, leaning back against the rough bark. "I couldn't have asked for a better partner in this," he said, his gaze lingering on her face. For a moment, silence fell between them, filled only with the sounds of the rustling leaves and distant birdsong. "Together, we can accomplish anything," Rose replied softly, feeling a warmth settle in her chest at his compliment. This wasn't just about growing crops. It was about nurturing something deeper, a friendship blossoming into something more. As they shared bites of their harvest, laughter danced between them like fireflies in the twilight. The playful teasing that had marked their early days evolved into conversations about dreams and hopes for the future. Ben learned more about Rose's longing for a real home and family, while Rose tasted the bittersweet yearning in Ben's words as he spoke of wanting to build a life filled with joy. On evenings when they finished working, they would sit on the porch watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant colors. Each evening spent together wrapped them in a blanket of comfort that felt unfamiliar yet exhilarating. Ben would often catch himself stealing glances at Rose as she talked animatedly about her plans for the ranch, and he marveled at how her passion could light up even the darkest corners of his heart. With each shared laughter and quiet moment beneath the stars, their feelings deepened, hinting at a future intertwined not just by dreams of prosperity but also by love. They began to explore what it might mean to become a family, an idea that felt both thrilling and terrifying. As spring progressed, it became increasingly clear that they were not just partners in work but also partners in life. The blooming ranch mirrored their evolving relationship, filled with potential, vibrant with hope. And as they worked side by side under that vast sky, both Rose and Ben realized that together they were building not just a bountiful haven but also a love story destined to flourish. One sunny afternoon, as Rose tended to the blossoming vegetable garden, a cloud of dust rose on the horizon. She squinted against the sun, her heart fluttering with excitement and trepidation. The sound of hooves approached, and as the figure drew closer, her breath caught in her throat. It was Samuel, the proud merchant who had once been her intended. "Rose," he called out, dismounting his horse with a confident stride. The familiarity of his voice sent a wave of emotions crashing over her, memories of a life she had tried so hard to forget. As he drew near, she could see that he had not changed much, still handsome and well-dressed, but now there was an edge to his demeanor that made her uneasy. "What are you doing here?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady as confusion knotted in her stomach. "I came to find you," Samuel said, brushing dirt from his sleeves. "I realized that I made a terrible mistake. You belong in my world, Rose, not out here in the middle of nowhere." Rose felt a sharp pang at his words. Did he truly believe she would abandon everything she had built here? "This is my home now," she replied firmly, but doubt crept into her mind as memories of their past flickered like shadows. "But you could have so much more with me," he pressed, stepping closer. "I can offer you a life filled with comfort and security, everything you once dreamed of." As she stood there, torn between her old life and the new one she had forged with Ben, Rose's thoughts raced. Just days ago, she had been dreaming about a future filled with love and laughter on the ranch, side by side with Ben. Now, Samuel's presence threatened to unravel everything. Suddenly, Ben appeared in the distance, his silhouette framed against the sun. He walked toward them with purpose, concern etched across his face as he sensed the tension in the air. "Rose, is everything okay?" he asked, his voice low and steady. Seeing Ben approach ignited a spark of clarity within Rose. This was not just about her past, it was about the life she had chosen and the love that had grown between her and Ben. She took a deep breath and met Samuel's gaze firmly. "I have found my place here," she declared. "With Ben." Samuel's expression faltered for a moment before hardening into resolve. "You'll regret this decision," he warned, but Rose stood tall, knowing that her heart belonged to the ranch and to Ben. As Samuel turned to leave, Rose felt a profound sense of relief wash over her. The confrontation had tested her resolve but ultimately reaffirmed her commitment to the life she was building. With Ben by her side, she felt stronger and more certain than ever that together they could create a future filled with love, stability, and hope far beyond what Samuel could ever offer. As summer rolled in, the fields surrounding Travis Ranch turned a brilliant gold, promising a bountiful harvest. With the wedding day approaching, Rose found herself swept up in a whirlwind of preparations. She and Ben had decided to celebrate their love amidst the golden wheat that symbolized their journey together, and excitement mingled with nervous anticipation filled her heart. Rose spent countless hours choosing flowers, selecting simple yet beautiful decorations, and dreaming of the vows they would share under the wide-open sky. Each task brought a sense of joy, yet beneath that joy lay flickers of doubt. Memories of her past threatened to creep back into her mind like shadows at dusk. One afternoon, as she stood in the field gathering wildflowers for her bouquet, her thoughts drifted to her time with Samuel. Would she truly be able to leave that part of her life behind? The hurt she had felt when he had rejected her felt distant but still carried a weight. Was she ready to embrace this new chapter completely? Just then, Ben appeared beside her, his brow furrowed with concern. "You've been quiet lately," he said gently. "Is everything all right?" Rose paused, collecting her thoughts. "I'm just thinking about everything," she admitted, allowing herself to be vulnerable with him. "I want to be sure I'm ready for this new life we're building." Ben took her hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "We can create our own future together, one without shadows from the past," he said firmly. "You belong here with me, Rose." His words stirred something deep within her, igniting a newfound resolve. She had chosen this life and this love. The fear that lingered was natural but should not hold power over her dreams anymore. As they returned to their preparations, Rose felt lighter, ready to embrace the excitement of what lay ahead. As the wedding day neared, the ranch buzzed with energy. Friends and family gathered to help with last-minute arrangements, laughter blending with the sounds of cattle and the rustling wheat. It was a stark contrast to the loneliness she had once felt. On the eve of their wedding, Rose stood outside under the starlit sky, taking in all that had changed. The land was not only transforming, so was she. This celebration was not merely of love but also a testament to resilience, the courage to let go of the past and step into a future filled with hope. With Ben by her side and their hearts intertwined like the golden stalks around them, Rose felt ready to face whatever came next. The next morning would bring their vows and promises, a new beginning rooted in a flourishing love that promised endless possibilities ahead, firmly grounded in a place they could call home. As the sun rose on their wedding day, it cast a warm glow over Travis Ranch, illuminating the once barren fields now filled with golden wheat as far as the eye could see. The transformation of the land mirrored the changes in Rose and Ben's lives. What had begun as a desolate expanse had blossomed into a vibrant haven, teeming with life and promise. Everywhere Rose looked, she saw the fruits of their hard work. Rows of healthy crops stood tall, the calves they nurtured frolicked freely in the pastures, and laughter echoed through the air as friends and family gathered to celebrate their union. The ranch was alive with energy, filled with joy that seemed to dance in the gentle breeze. Standing at the edge of the field where they would exchange vows, Rose felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She thought about her journey from heartache and rejection to finding love and purpose beside Ben. Their partnership had not only revitalized the land but also brought healing to their weary hearts. In this place, she had discovered not just a home but belonging. As guests began to take their seats on makeshift benches surrounded by wildflowers, Rose took a deep breath. She remembered all those moments spent working alongside Ben, planting seeds together under a golden sun, nursing calves back to health, and dreaming aloud about their future. Each shared effort had solidified their bond, transforming mere friendship into a love that felt as solid as the earth beneath her feet. When Ben appeared at the end of the aisle, dressed simply yet handsomely, Rose's heart soared. The way he looked at her filled her with warmth, a mutual understanding that transcended words. They were no longer just building a ranch, they were building a life together. As they exchanged vows amidst swaying stalks of wheat under an endless sky, Rose felt all doubts fade away. Their promises were not merely spoken words but commitments rooted in deep love and shared dreams for the future. In that moment, surrounded by nature's beauty and the people who mattered most to them, everything felt perfectly right. With every "I do," they sealed not just their marriage but also a promise to continue nurturing each other and the land they cherished. Together, they would cultivate a life of love, a thriving haven filled with laughter, hope, and endless possibilities. As guests erupted in cheers and applause following their kiss, Rose glanced around at her transformed world, a radiant reflection of resilience and newfound joy. The ranch stood as a testament to their journey, a bountiful haven where love blossomed amid golden fields, ready to embrace whatever came next for Rose and Ben as partners in every sense of the word.